So today I'm going to be talking to you about data-driven social informatics. And when I say informatics, I mean basically these general information processing systems. Before I get started with my research work, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about my other things. So in terms of teaching, I teach the undergraduate robotics courses that are required for interdisciplinary intelligent robotics system minor. We're in the process of updating the minor, and I know that across mechanical, civil, the other departments, that there have been more courses added related to robotics. So if you take a look at the catalog, the current technical electives for the minor. If you have new ideas about what should be added, please let me know. Within computer science, I also teach courses on machine learning and a seminar on intelligent systems. Outside UCF, I've been primarily involved with our international conference on autonomous agents and multi-agent systems, which is one of the top AI conferences. I served as the program chair, and last year, in the middle of COVID, I served as the general chair for one of the first large-scale virtual AI conferences. So that was quite an experience. And this year, I'm serving as the co-chair of the International Joint Conference on AI's Diversity and Inclusion Program. We'll be accepting submissions for that in March, so if you have any ideas for that, please definitely let me know. So I'd like to talk to you about the work that we're doing at my lab, the Intelligent Agents Lab. And when I say agents, really, the general definition is an artificial intelligence system that's embedded in some kind of environment. And my research is on embedding these agents into a social information processing environment, these online games, social media platforms. So our general strategy is we take a lot of data from people's interactions on social media platforms, online games, modeling and simulation environments, and we apply machine learning to learn models of the system. We also do some work with social sciences to gather their insight, but our overall goal is to create a computational model that can be used to understand, predict, explore what-if scenarios about how the humans are going to behave. And this is of tremendous importance because often humans form the largest source of uncertainty in these systems. So it's really important for us to be able to understand their work. I've had 14 PhD students graduate from the lab. Most of them are our usual suspects, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, but I have a student who just started as an assistant professor at University of Delaware. So what I'd like to do is to give you kind of two specific smaller examples of projects before I dive into my larger efforts. So one thing that we're very interested in is how these agents affect the performance of human teams. And we looked a lot at software engineering teams. So how does the injection of automation affect the performance of software engineering teams? And to do this, we use a very commonly used platform, GitHub, which is basically the largest source of open source code. You can see on the left kind of an example of a repository. So GitHub offers a combination of version control and also social media style interactions where people can share their code. Now, let's look at the question that we inject automation into the process. So I've shown one kind of common bot, code coverage testing bot. What we want to do is to be able to look and see how that affects the team. Are they successful at generating code? Are they successful at closing issues? So to do this, we've done these large-scale studies on the platform. GitHub has 190 million repositories. There's a public event data set called GHTorrent. We've done a bunch of data mining. And in particular, we're interested in this sequence pattern mining. So looking at how the agents perturb the sequences of events generated by human users. Now I'll tell you about a kind of a more traditional human-robot interaction study. So in addition to doing these large-scale studies with large groups of human, we also do these kind of point-to-point studies with an agent or robot interacting with a single human. And one of the things that we're very interested in robotics is how exactly the human-robot interaction should work. Because practically speaking, it's not possible for robots to be completely autonomous in a lot of scenarios. And what we try to do is not only to come up with new user interaction paradigms, but primarily to be able to use machine learning to achieve this superior user interaction. So I've done a lot of work on learning from demonstration. That's when the human programs the robot by showing it what to do, and also reinforcement learning. So this is a quick example of a system that was done by my student on guiding a quadcopter flight. You want your quadcopter to take a bunch of great photos of yourself. So this system was called the selfie drone stick, and it actually took control from the user's cell phone. So the user would manipulate their phone in the environment, and this would go to our control system. We were able to learn a great control system using a form of reinforcement learning, deep deterministic policy gradient. It uses two neural networks, one for evaluating the value of different state action pairs, and the second for selecting actions. And a lot of research work had to go into the questions of how we should inject rewards into the system. Basically, reinforcement learning uses these rewards to guide its action selection. And then the second, how we can transfer the learning in the system from a simulation environment into the real world. And our system was actually featured by Lockheed Martin. Lockheed has done a lot of work on this on a drone racing competition, so AIs racing drones, and we actually presented on our system at Lockheed's Alpha Pilot Challenge, the inaugural event that was held at UCF in 2019. So what I'd like to do now that I've given you a small taste of the kind of problems that I'm interested in, I'd like to talk to you about our three larger funded efforts. So that the first is actually with Lockheed Martin, funded by a combination of Lockheed and Florida's High-Tech Corridor program. And what we're very interested in is being able to use AI to scale up these flight training systems, to be able to have the feedback from one instructor be able to be used to train many, many students. And so this is a really interesting problem. And our take on this is that it's important to combine information, not only to rely on machine learning strictly, but also to use information about what we know about human cognitive systems in order to reduce the machine learning requirements. So in the system, we take data from Lockheed's flight simulator prepared. We have eye tracking information. The trainees interact in virtual reality, so we have information about their gaze. And we also get information on their knowledge assessment questions. We take all this data and we try to make important predictions, such as, is the student going to succeed or fail on the task, and what kind of task are they executing in the moment? And currently we're working with the Air Force Academy, where we did a study on UCF students. We're looking at more experienced pilots and being able to integrate it into the commercial simulator. So we've gotten a lot of buy-in from Lockheed, and they extended our contract on this for another couple of years. So I spoke to you about the problem of embedding agents into these systems. We've done work on software engineering teams. We were really fortunate last year to get funded through DARPA's project, Artificial Social Intelligence for Successful Teams, that were interested in kind of a more abstract question about, can we create socially intelligent agents capable of exhibiting theory of mind when interacting with human team members? The idea is, if these agents can exhibit theory of mind, they can anticipate what people are going to do and be better team members. And so the evaluation for this, so Peter mentioned that DARPA is a very demanding master to serve, so we get evaluated on our performance on this every 6 months, but it's been a great source of data. They run centralized experiments. We do our data analysis on it. We were able to apply our sequence pattern mining techniques that we prototyped on GitHub and show that we're able to elicit subtle differences between the successful teams and the unsuccessful teams. So if you look here, the simulation environment is done in Minecraft. It generates events. Our goal is to find these key segments of the sequences of events and extract them. And so this has been a really tremendous project for pushing forward our general understanding of human teams. And then the final thing that I'll talk about, also a project funded by DARPA under their social simulation program. We're all very concerned about the propagation of misinformation across social media platforms. What if we could model this? So that is the goal of the program, to be able to take data from platforms like I mentioned, GitHub, Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, to be able to study the propagation of these information units and to be able to predict a time series of these events in the future. And so this is a project that I've been working on over the past three years, and out of it has come some great innovations for bootstrapping agent-based simulations using data. Another kind of practical thing, out of our modeling of GitHub, we've been able to achieve a greater understanding of how people exchange cybersecurity vulnerability information. So kind of in summary, I think AI is going to continue to be of importance in the scientific community. A lot of people approach me with ideas on how to embed AI in their systems. I'm very open to these kind of collaborations. I'm looking for collaborators in particular for inspection robotics, smart cities, and health applications. We are continuing to push on all of these areas with Lockheed. We've also submitted an extension to DARPA's social simulation program, where we're going to try to do psychographic segmentation of social media data. The Army has some programs specifically on doing teamwork. We're seeing if we can get our work on sequence pattern mining funded by them. In addition to my terrific students, I'd like to also thank my awesome collaborators, Yvonne Garibay in industrial engineering, who's been the fearless leader of our SocialSim team, Steve Fiore at IST, and Alex Manzares in statistics. Thank you.